Home Secretary Yvette Cooper has announced new government-backed local inquiries into grooming gangs following mounting pressure for a national investigation. In her parliamentary statement, Cooper addressed weeks of demands for decisive action against child sexual exploitation, a topic that has sparked significant public outcry. The call for a national investigation intensified as several Labour MPs, including representatives from Rotherham, Rochdale, and Liverpool Walton, broke ranks with their party leadership to demand broader scrutiny of these heinous crimes. This issue gained renewed attention after Safeguarding Minister Jess Phillips declined a request for government assistance with an inquiry in Oldham, a decision that drew widespread criticism. Cooper's announcement highlights the government's intent to confront this long-standing issue and bring justice to victims. In today's video, we'll delve into her statement, examine the latest headlines surrounding this topic, and explore what these developments mean for the fight against child exploitation. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more updates.
Forward to tackle the terrible crimes of child sexual exploitation and abuse, including mandatory reporting, a new victims and survivors panel, an overhaul of data and police performance requirements, tougher sentences for perpetrators, and support for local inquiries, including in Oldham. The Safeguarding Minister is this morning meeting with survivors from Oldham, and earlier this week she and I met Professor Alexis Jay, who chaired both the 7-year National Independent Inquiry into child sexual abuse and the first local independent inquiry into grooming gangs in Rotherham. Professor Jay's strongest message to us was that the survivors who bravely testified to terrible crimes committed against them must not be left to feel that their efforts were in vain, because despite all the inquiries, no one listened and nothing was done. So following those discussions, I therefore want to update the House on our next steps, both to take forward inquiry recommendations and to go further in tackling sexual exploitation and grooming on the streets and online to keep children safe. The Independent National Inquiry into Child Sexual Abuse completed its final report in 2022. It took 7 years, heard 7,000 personal testimonies and considered 2 million pages of evidence. They were devastating accounts of brutal rapes, sexual violence, humiliation, trauma, betrayal of vulnerable children by those charged with protecting them, and people in positions of power who shamefully put the reputation of institutions before the protection of children. The inquiry included separate detailed reports on organised child abuse in residential homes and schools, abuse and cover-ups in the Catholic and Anglican churches, and a 2-year inquiry published in February 2022 into child sexual exploitation by organised networks and grooming gangs, which itself examined over 400 recommendations made by previous inquiries and serious case reviews, as well as taking further evidence of its own. And there have been further reports since then, including on Telford and on police performance. But despite all those national inquiries, reports, and hundreds of recommendations, far too little action has been taken. And shamefully little progress has been made. That has to change. So before Easter, the government will lay out a clear timetable for taking forward the 20 recommendations from the final ICSA inquiry report. 4 of those are specifically for the Home Office, and I can confirm we have accepted them in full, including on disclosure and barring, and work on these is already underway. A cross-government ministerial group is considering and working through remaining recommendations, and that group will be supported by our new Victims and Survivors panel. In addition, I can confirm today that the government will implement all the remaining recommendations in the Child Abuse Inquiry's separate standalone report on grooming gangs from February 22, including updating key department education guidance. So let me turn to the areas where we need to go further. As I said last week, the most important task should be to increase police investigations into these horrific crimes and get abusers behind bars. We will introduce stronger sentences for child grooming, making it an aggravating factor to organise abuse and exploitation. And I can announce new action today to help victims get more investigations and prosecutions underway. I'm extending the remit of the Independent Child Sexual Abuse Review Panel, so it covers not just historic cases before 2013, but all cases since, so that any victim of abuse will have the right to seek an independent review without having to go back to the local institutions who decided not to proceed with their case. I'm writing today to the National Police Chiefs Council to ask all Chief Constables to look again at historic gang exploitation cases where no further action was taken, and to work with the Police Child Sexual Exploitation Task Force to pursue new lines of inquiry and reopen investigations where appropriate. And these new measures will be backed by £2 million additional funding for the task force and the panel. And all police forces will be expected to implement the 2023 recommendations from His Majesty's Inspectorate, including producing problem profiles on the nature of grooming gangs in their area. And I have asked the Inspectorate to review progress this year. But as well as reviewing past cases, we also need much stronger action to uncover the full scale and nature of these awful crimes. The Child Sexual Exploitation Police Task Force, led by the National Police Chiefs Council, has estimated that out of the 115,000 child sexual abuse offences recorded by the police in 2023, around 4,000 involved more than one perpetrator. Of those, they identify around 1,100 that involved abuse within the family, over 300 involving abuse in institutions, and they identified 717 reported cases of group or gang-related child sexual exploitation. But we know the vast majority of abuse goes unreported, so we expect all of those figures to be a significant underestimate. The task force reports there are currently 127 major police investigations underway on child sexual exploitation and gang grooming across 29 different police forces. Many major investigations have involved Pakistani heritage gangs, and the police task force evidence also shows exploitation and abuse taking place across many different communities and ethnicities. But the data on ethnicity of both perpetrators and victims is still inadequate. As I said last week, we will overhaul the data we expect local areas to collect as part of a new performance management framework. But I've also asked the Child Sexual Exploitation Task Force to immediately expand the ethnicity data it collects and publishes, gathering data from the end of the investigation when a fuller picture is available, not just from the beginning when suspects may not yet have been identified.
Prime Minister Keir Starmer has made a historic visit to Ukraine, where he joined President Volodymyr Zelensky in signing a groundbreaking 100-year partnership between the United Kingdom and Ukraine. This agreement marks a significant step in solidifying the relationship between the two nations, focusing on long-term military and technological collaboration. As Ukraine continues to endure the devastating impacts of Russia's invasion, this partnership symbolizes the UK's unwavering commitment to supporting the Ukrainian people, not just during the current conflict but for generations to come. During his visit, Starmer emphasized the enduring nature of this alliance. He stated that this partnership is more than just a gesture of solidarity for today, it is a promise to stand by Ukraine through its journey to rebuild and thrive once the war is over. The Prime Minister underscored that the collaboration would encompass various critical areas, including advancements in drone technology, maritime security, and military strategy. These areas have become increasingly relevant as the conflict in Ukraine stretches into its third year, with innovative technologies playing a crucial role in both defense and offense. The announcement of the partnership comes at a time when Ukraine is fighting not only for its territorial sovereignty but also for its future as a democratic and independent nation. The UK's support, totaling nearly £13 billion since the beginning of the war, has been instrumental in helping Ukraine bolster its defense capabilities and maintain critical infrastructure amid relentless Russian aggression. This aid package has included military support, energy infrastructure investments, and humanitarian assistance, all of which have provided a lifeline to Ukraine during its most challenging times. However, the stakes are growing higher, and the geopolitical landscape remains uncertain. The impending return of Donald Trump to the White House, should he win the upcoming US presidential elections, has raised concerns in Ukraine about the potential reduction in American support. Trump's previous administration was known for its ambivalence toward U.S. foreign aid commitments, and his possible re-election has sparked fears that Ukraine could face significant cuts in financial and military assistance. The U.S. has contributed over $63 billion to Ukraine's defense efforts, dwarfing the support provided by other Western nations, including the UK. Any reduction in this aid would have far-reaching consequences, potentially altering the course of the war. Starmer's visit is a clear message to Ukraine and the international community. The UK remains steadfast in its support, regardless of shifting dynamics across the Atlantic. The partnership agreement also sends a signal to Russia that Ukraine's allies are committed to a united front, aiming to deter any further escalation of the conflict. Starmer's remarks highlighted the failure of Vladimir Putin's strategy to isolate Ukraine from its allies. Instead, the war has strengthened ties between Ukraine and its Western partners, fostering a deeper sense of unity and purpose. The Prime Minister's trip to Kiev marks his 17th overseas engagement as the UK's leader, underscoring the importance of Ukraine in British foreign policy. His arrival by train in the war-torn capital was both symbolic and practical, reflecting the resilience of the Ukrainian people and the urgency of the mission. During his meetings with President Zelensky and other Ukrainian officials, Starmer reiterated the UK's dedication to supporting Ukraine's defense efforts and helping the country rebuild once peace is restored. The newly signed 100-year partnership encompasses not only military and technological cooperation but also cultural exchanges and scientific collaborations. The initiative aims to harness the remarkable innovation demonstrated by Ukraine during the conflict, ensuring that its advancements in technology and defense are integrated into a broader framework of international cooperation. This long-term vision reflects the belief that Ukraine's recovery and prosperity are vital to global stability and security. While the announcement has received widespread bipartisan support in the UK, it has also sparked debate about the country's financial priorities. Critics have questioned the allocation of resources to Ukraine, arguing that domestic issues, such as the cost of living crisis and strained public services, should take precedence. However, proponents of the partnership argue that supporting Ukraine is not only a moral imperative but also a strategic investment in global security. By helping Ukraine resist Russian aggression, the UK is contributing to a broader effort to uphold international law and deter future acts of unwarranted aggression by authoritarian regimes. Starmer's visit has also reignited discussions about the role of European allies in the conflict. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius recently traveled to Ukraine, highlighting the ongoing deliberations among European leaders regarding security guarantees for Ukraine. The potential for a peace agreement has become a focal point, with European nations weighing their commitments to Ukraine's long-term security. The UK's partnership agreement positions it as a leading advocate for Ukraine's sovereignty and a key player in shaping the post-war order. The Prime Minister's presence in Ukraine was met with gratitude from President Zelensky, who praised the UK's unwavering support. Zelensky acknowledged the significance of the partnership, describing it as a cornerstone of Ukraine's future. The Ukrainian leader also expressed optimism about the country's ability to rebuild and thrive, despite the immense challenges it currently faces. Zelensky's remarks highlighted the resilience and determination of the Ukrainian people, who continue to inspire admiration and support from around the world. As the war approaches its third year, the path forward remains uncertain. However, the UK's commitment to Ukraine, as exemplified by this 100-year partnership, offers a beacon of hope. It is a testament to the enduring strength of alliances forged in times of adversity and a reminder that the fight for freedom and sovereignty is one that resonates far beyond the borders of Ukraine. What do you think about the Prime Minister's visit and the implications of this historic partnership? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more updates. Thank you, and take care.